The Napoleonic Wars. These were some of the most significant and widespread conflicts in history. These weren't just small fights. They were massive, involving many countries and countless soldiers. They were huge wars all over the world, from Europe to the Middle East and even reaching the Americas and Africa. For over 20 years, from 1799 to 1815, these wars went on, changing everything. The world was in a constant state of turmoil. Imagine millions of soldiers, cannons firing, and huge battles. The scale of these conflicts was unprecedented. These wars weren't just about fighting, they were also about diplomacy, alliances, and political maneuvering. They were about big ideas like freedom, being equal, and getting rid of kings. These ideas were revolutionary and changed the course of history. The French Revolution had just happened, and these ideas were spreading fast. People everywhere were inspired to fight for their rights. Napoleon Bonaparte, a super smart general, used these ideas to become powerful. He was a master strategist and a charismatic leader. These wars changed how wars are fought, how we think about countries, and how Europe is organized even today. The borders of many countries were redrawn. They were a big deal, and understanding them helps us understand our world. The impact of the Napoleonic Wars is still felt in modern geopolitics and international relations. The wars also had a profound effect on the lives of ordinary people. Families were torn apart, economies were disrupted, and entire communities were changed forever. Additionally, the Napoleonic Wars spurred technological advancements and innovations. The need for better weapons and supplies led to significant progress in various fields. Cultural exchanges also took place as soldiers and civilians moved across borders. This led to a blending of cultures and ideas, enriching societies in unexpected ways. In the end, peace treaties were signed and the world began to rebuild. The lessons learned from these wars have shaped international diplomacy and conflict resolution to this day. Before Napoleon, there was the French Revolution. This monumental event reshaped not only France but also the entire world. It was a time when the common people rose up against centuries of oppression and demanded change. This wasn't just about France. The ideas and actions of the French Revolution had a ripple effect that spread across continents, inspiring other nations to rethink their own systems of governance. It was about big ideas, freedom, being equal, and rights for everyone, not just kings and queens. These were revolutionary concepts that challenged the very foundations of society at the time. People were tired of being bossed around. They were fed up with the absolute power held by the monarchy and the nobility, who lived in luxury while the common folk struggled to survive. They wanted a say in how things were run. The desire for a voice in government and the ability to influence decisions that affected their lives was a powerful motivator. The revolution started in 1789. This year marked the beginning of a series of dramatic events that would forever change the course of history. The French people were angry. Their anger was fueled by years of injustice, economic hardship, and a sense of hopelessness. They were poor, while the king and his rich friends lived great lives. The stark contrast between the opulence of the elite and the poverty of the masses was glaring, so they fought back. They stormed the Bastille, a big prison, and that started everything. The storming of the Bastille became a symbol of the people's uprising and their determination to overthrow the old regime. The revolution was messy and violent. Streets were filled with chaos as people clashed with the forces of the monarchy. People were executed, there were wars with other countries, and things were chaotic. The Reign of Terror saw thousands sent to the guillotine, and France found itself at war with multiple European powers. But from all this chaos, a new France was born, a republic. The revolution paved the way for the establishment of a republic, where the principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity were enshrined. This scared other European countries. Monarchies across Europe feared that the revolutionary fervor would spread to their own lands. They didn't want these revolutionary ideas spreading. Efforts were made to contain the spread of these radical ideas, but the seeds of revolution had already been sown. Out of the chaos of the French Revolution, a new leader came to power, Napoleon Bonaparte. Born in Corsica, he was a genius at war. He quickly climbed the ranks in the French army. Napoleon was ambitious and wanted power. He saw a chance to take control during the chaos. In 1799, he took over the government and became first consul of France. He was basically the boss. Napoleon wasn't happy with just ruling France. He wanted more power, to conquer and build a huge empire. He started lots of wars, defeating Austria, Prussia, and other European powers. He was unstoppable. Napoleon won his early wars easily. He was a master of war, outsmarting everyone. He made the French army the best in Europe. One of his biggest wins was the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805. He crushed the armies of Austria and Russia, taking control of Central Europe. Everyone in Europe was shocked. With each victory, Napoleon's empire grew bigger. He took over land, put his own people in charge, and spread the ideas of the French Revolution. He was powerful, and everyone in Europe was afraid of him. Napoleon's army, the Grande Armée, was amazing. It was huge, had the best equipment, and was very disciplined. Soldiers from all over Napoleon's empire fought for him. The Grande Armée marched all over Europe, conquering new lands and fighting big battles. They faced many challenges, bad weather, tough land, and strong enemies. But they never gave up, driven by Napoleon's ambition. Napoleon's conquests changed the map of Europe. He ended the Holy Roman Empire, which had lasted 1,000 years, and reorganized German states. He was remaking Europe. For years, Napoleon seemed unbeatable, but his luck ran out. His enemies learned from their mistakes and changed how they fought. One big turning point was the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. Napoleon's navy lost badly to the British Navy led by Admiral Nelson. This made Britain the strongest navy and stopped Napoleon from invading England. Another problem came in 1812 when Napoleon invaded Russia. The long distances, freezing winter, and the Russians' scorched earth tactics destroyed Napoleon's army. This weakened Napoleon. With Napoleon weak, his enemies saw an opportunity to strike. They formed a coalition and launched a series of attacks against him. In 1814, the combined forces of European powers, including Britain, Russia, Prussia, and Austria, managed to defeat Napoleon's army. They marched into Paris, capturing the city and forcing Napoleon to surrender. As a result, Napoleon was compelled to abdicate the throne. He was exiled to the small Mediterranean island of Elba, where he was given sovereignty over the island and a small personal guard. But Napoleon's story wasn't over. Despite his exile, he remained determined and resourceful. In February 1815, after less than a year on Elba, Napoleon managed to escape. He sailed back to France with a small group of loyal followers. Upon his return, he quickly rallied his supporters. Many of the soldiers who had once fought for him rejoined his cause, and he was able to assemble a new army. This marked the beginning of what is known as the 100 Days' War. Napoleon sought to reclaim his empire and restore his power. The climax of this effort came at the Battle of Waterloo in June 1815. It was here that Napoleon faced a decisive confrontation. He fought against a combined British and Prussian army led by the Duke of Wellington and General Blücher. Despite his strategic genius, Napoleon was ultimately defeated in a grueling battle. Following this crushing defeat, Napoleon was captured once more. This time he was exiled to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic Ocean. Far from Europe, he spent the remaining years of his life in confinement, passing away in 1821. Napoleon's legacy is complicated. He was a brilliant general, a mean dictator, and a charming leader who people both admired and feared. His conquests changed Europe and the world. One important thing he left behind is the Napoleonic Code, a set of laws he used in France and the lands he conquered. The code said everyone was equal under the law, protected property rights, and said religion and government should be separate. It influenced laws around the world. Napoleon's wars also changed how wars were fought. He changed military tactics and organization. His use of large armies, mobile cannons, and the corps system changed warfare forever. The Napoleonic Wars changed Europe. After Napoleon lost, the winners met at the Congress of Vienna to redraw the map of Europe and stop future wars. The Congress of Vienna wanted to balance power in Europe and stop another Napoleon. They changed borders, put old rulers back in power, and made alliances. This helped keep peace in Europe for a while. However, the Napoleonic Wars also made people feel more nationalistic and want more freedom. These ideas would lead to more revolutions and the unification of Italy and Germany later on.